let's take time to preview for all the Mav fans. Let's go on the inside, in the paint. Let's talk about Chris Kaman, 7 foot, 265. You like that big square body on the interior, but what I love and appreciate the most is the fact that he can stretch the D. He can consistently.
So you're going to be okay that you said he had a big square body?
Oh, I know. He'll give me a reprieve in a second chance. Sorry about that, Chris.
No, look, I'm thrilled to see that he's here. There's obviously a good synergy with Dirk from their time in the past on the German Olympic team. So I think it's great that Chris Kaman is a part of the thing. Offensively, his shooting percentages were a little bit down last year in New Orleans, but I think that probably was a function of that was not the easiest situation last year. They had a lot of injuries and they weren't the best team, and so he probably wasn't in the best position to succeed, but he did play quite well late in the season. And keep in mind that that was after that they had told him for a while to go home while they looked for a trade option for him. They didn't find anything suitable. He came back late in the year and put up good numbers on a team that wasn't great, but they did give some teams a problem in New Orleans last year. There were many, many good Western Conference teams who went down there to New Orleans and lost over the last 6 to 8 weeks of the season. Pardon me, the Mavericks being one of them. So I think that Chris comes here as somebody who has a great opportunity to play off Dirk and be someone who can help spread the floor because of his ability on offense. And, you know, if he can play some average defense, which he certainly has done that in the past in his career, then, you know, that will be good for Dallas as well. And maybe they can, you know, put the right schemes and strategies in place to enhance his ability to play even better defense.
Perhaps an undervalued portion of his game is his ability to pass the ball. I mean, he's really good at when the double team comes down, that he can provide the kick out. And you know he's going to have his eyes looking for Dirk.
Well, and you know, that's important for any big man who has some ability to score inside. You're naturally, because of your ability, going to draw some second defenders and double teams, and so he's got to be able to do that. And so it's going to be incumbent upon others on this team to knock down shots when they get that opportunity. But Chris will be another guy who will get the pass too from when situations arise where Dirk gets double teamed. So I think that Chris is a really, really nice addition. Clearly he wants to be here. He respects Mark Cuban. He respects Dirk. He's probably spoken about what, you know, I don't think I've ever heard him use the term family like you referred to with Jay Crowder earlier, but I'm sure that you get the vibe that he feels like that this is a place where he really, really wants to be. It's an organization that he respects, and hey, I'm thrilled to have him. I think that the Mavs certainly going into the offseason I don't know what they foresaw, but to be able to upgrade the center position as much as they did with him and Elton Brand, who I'm sure we'll talk here about in a little bit, that's a very good get on both fronts.
And why wouldn't Chris want to be in the state of Texas? He has a true affinity for hunting, right?
Yes, he does. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen the pictures recently on Twitter. So, yeah, he's having a good time with that. So, but you know, it'll be time to get down to business pretty soon for him and everybody else. And so he's got to, you know, boys will be boys. We've all got to find a way to blow off steam before the real work gets started.
Well, Mark, I know that the fans are very anxious to hear what you think about filling the one slot, and of course at the point guard position. And Darren Collison comes in. He's received some tremendous tutelage from one of the best playmakers in the game, and that is Chris Paul.
Yeah, played for him for a year, played with him for a year, I should say, and actually got a chance to start a lot that year. Chris Paul was hurt and missed a significant chunk of games, and Darren Collison ended up starting over 30, close to 40 games that season with the New Orleans Hornets. A lot of starts over the last 2 years with the Indiana Pacers as well, and started most of the games this past year. Got hurt late in the season, a groin injury, and then ended up coming off the bench behind George Hill, but was still very productive in his time off the bench for Indiana, and what was a nice little playoff run for them into the second round and giving Miami a pretty darn competitive series in the second round. So in terms of Darren Collison, you know, he's got the ability to break down the defense, that lightning quickness, you know, is a decent three-point shooter, not somebody who takes a lot of them. I think he took right around 100 three-point shots over the course of playing around 60 games over the course of last season for Indiana. But it's a very nice addition. He spoke at the press conference recently about how great it was for him to play with Chris Paul and how much he learned from him. And the Mavericks feel like that he certainly had a nice career for his first 3 years. But to quote Donnie, he feels like, and they feel like, that he's now ready to take the next step. And I think the quote was to spread his wings and fly. So we'll see if that happens here.
You know, and Donnie had also talked about all the new players that have come in, the professional integrity. And one of the things about Darren that I was impressed with is just how humble he is with his approach to the game. And he's trying to absorb, he's trying to digest as much as he can and learn the system.
Well, I think that, you know, a guy like Darren Collison, who's a young guy who's had a little bit of success, he realizes, you know, that that's what you play for, to win. And he sees that this is an organization that's won for a long time and won at the very highest level, obviously. So I can certainly understand why he's taking that approach, because he comes in here and wants to, you know, he doesn't want to be the guy where the winning tradition turns. He wants to be part of the winning tradition. There are big I know that we've been cautioned not to say that so-and-so is taking this particular role, but let's face it, the bottom line is that there are big shoes to fill here with Jason Kidd no longer being here. And he doesn't have to do everything that Jason Kidd did, but he is going to be playing the same position. So some of those leadership roles clearly are going to fall on him, and so he's taking it very, very seriously. That's what a leader does, is he comes in and absorbs and learns quickly, because if he doesn't know the system, then it's going to make it awfully hard on everybody else. So that's a very, very important aspect of things for a point guard, clearly, and it's great to see that he's approaching it that way.
Well, one guy that is taking it very serious, and he arrived here in Dallas early, was O.J. Mayo, and I loved his quote at the media day where he just said, as long as he's been a part of the league, when he walks into arena, he looks up into the rafter to see how many championship banners are hanging, and so he's always had his eye on Dallas, and I really believe Dallas is a destination for him. He's going to be here for a while.
Well, I hope you're right. We'll see how this season plays out. The one bad thing about it is if he has a great season, then maybe he opts out of his contract and he hits the open market next summer and commands big dollars, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. That means he's had a good season, and that's all we can really deal with is what's coming up immediately for the Mavs this year. So I like O.J. Mayo. For the last 2 years, he's come off the bench. His numbers weren't as good. Shooting-wise, his scoring numbers dipped, but that was a byproduct of the minutes dipping. He was still scoring at the same per-minute rate. The shooting percentages did drop some, but now he's going to be in a situation where he's going to be higher up the food chain in terms of the option he'll be on offense, and hopefully that will lead to better opportunities for him and an opportunity to raise that shooting percentage back up and have it, in that 45% range where he had in the first couple of years in the league. But that's great to hear. Again, all of those guys, I keep going back to that phrase, it's great to hear, but all those guys said a lot of things that were great to hear, and that was a very, very enlightening press conference, and I think that once again, O.J. Mayo is a guy who's young. He's been part of a little bit of success with Memphis going to the playoffs each of these last 2 years and beating San Antonio in a monumental upset in 2011. So he understands what this league is about, and if he can come in and help keep the winning tradition going here, then that's great for the Mavericks and great for him.
Let's talk about two players that have been a part of an incredible program. Mike Krzyzewski, the Duke Blue Devils, Elton Brand. I know that he's been a long time in the league, but Dante Jones as well. And that's what's really been neat about this particular system is they continue to secure and pull players that have a good foundation, that have been a part of great programs. I mean, we were talking about Darren Collison, Ben Howland, UCLA.
Yeah. Went to the Final Four.
3 times.
Yeah. Well, in the case of Elton Brand and Dante Jones, look, I think that playing for Coach K is a great thing. Elton Brand has come into the league and has been an all-star before. He's been a 20-10 and an average and a season guy, so that's great. He was one of the best post defenders in the league last year. He ranked second in post defense in terms of percentage of times that the opponent scored against him. It was like 29.5%. Only Marcus Camby was better than Elton Brand in post defense last year when you look at the top 150 players in terms of number of post-ups faced. So it wasn't like he did it 10 times. And we're talking about somebody who was defending a lot of post-ups last year and percentage-wise was the second best in the league at it in terms of keeping the other player from scoring. So thrilled to have that kind of defensive ability down on the block. He can still rebound the ball well. He's got the ability on offense to be a pick-and-roll guy who can hit a mid-range jumper, and he's not the same player that he was on offense back in his heyday, but he's still somebody who can be effective in a bench role playing either the 4 or the 5. Dante Jones, versatility again, can play 2, can play 3, can defend multiple positions, and will come in and we'll play with another Rick thing that he likes to say is play with force. And Dante Jones, because of his defensive ability, yes, he's going to be a guy who's going to play with force and is going to go out. He says it's a hit-first league, and Dante Jones will be a guy who will come out on the defensive end of the floor and be a hit-first kind of guy. Okay, Mark, tell all of our listeners and our viewers a little bit about as far as the layout of the schedule. I think it really benefits and bodes well for them that they'll have an opportunity. I mean, Rick said they got 31 days before their first game, so they're going to be able to figure out the personality of this team. Well, the trip to Europe will certainly be very, very intriguing. It's going to be hard to do work in some ways over there because there's going to be a lot of distractions. I'm sure a lot of NBA prearranged commitments that they'll have to do away from the practice floor and away from the game. But it will be a time long road trips. I always heard Don Nelson talk about this, that, hey, I'm ready for this team to go out on a long road trip. We need to do that so we can have some together time and some bonding time. And they will have some together time and some bonding time when they go to Berlin and Barcelona. That will be a neat trip for those guys. It's going to be a really neat experience, but it's also going to be a chance for them to come together. And so that's great. And, look, and another thing I should add, too, is, just a few hundred feet away from us, not far from that laboratory where Rick is cooking up all of his ideas for the upcoming season, is the practice floor. And a lot of guys have already been in, and they're working together. It's a matter of fact, it's right back behind these blinds, back behind us here at the old number 7 club at American Airlines Center. The practice floor is down there, and there have been guys working out together and playing. And so there's already a chance to develop some of that chemistry. They'll have that chance to do it in Europe. Then they'll have 6 preseason games when they get back here. And the regular season hopefully affords the Mavericks a chance to hit the ground running, because they play, I believe it's 8 of their first 12 games are at home. It's a significant chunk of home games early on. And I know that of their first 8 home games between November 3rd and November 24th, 6 of those 8 are against lottery teams from last year. Now, that doesn't mean those teams will be lottery teams this year, but they'll be playing a lot of non-playoff teams from last season on their home floor early. Doesn't mean that those are automatic wins or that you can take them for granted, but hopefully if the Mavericks play to their capability, then that will give them a chance to round into form and hit the ground running and get some results, get some positive results on the floor early in the season, because that will help the team come together. Look, nothing succeeds like success, and nothing helps team chemistry more than winning does. So if they can win some games early, that's great.
Well, one of those early games, of course, is against the Lakers, and you talk about how the landscape of the Western Conference has changed so much with the addition now of Dwight Howard now being a part of the Lakers. But it's a very physical league, and we talked about being combative and playing with force, and we saw how physical it was in the first round of the playoffs last year with Dirk and Kendrick Perkins from OKC. True?
Yes, yeah, it was indeed, absolutely. And look, that's playoff basketball any year in any round at any level. There's no question that it's going to be very, very physical. And that's what a guy like Brand is for. Right. That's what a guy like Dante Jones can contribute to. That's still what a guy like Sean Marion, because of his, and it's not that he's banging people out there, but he's certainly not shy about getting up into somebody on the defensive end of the floor and isn't going to back down from a challenge. So look, the Mavericks have physical players. That aspect of their game, I think, is something that they realize is important for the championship season, and I think we'll see that they're clearly going to be focused on that this year.
Well, I'm excited, looking forward to it. And Mark, do you have a special message for the viewers out there where they can go and get their tickets?
Oh yes, 214-747-MAVS, Mavs.com. Ticketmaster outlets. There's going to be a lot of fun stuff to see for this team this year. 4 preseason games. We'll have them on television as well. Looking forward to the regular season games being on Fox Sports Southwest, and the home openers November 3rd against Charlotte. And like I said, early on in the season, the schedule hopefully sets up for an opportunity for the Mavericks to win a lot of games. And look, what makes your night better to come out and enjoy some fun of Mavericks basketball and see them win on top of that. It's a great experience, win or lose, but winning makes it even better. So hopefully there'll be a chance early in the season for people to come out and see some wins.
Mark, always a pleasure when we can drop by and have you on our radio show.
Happy to do it anytime.
You bet. We look forward to your call, and join us online at eradiosports.com for more exclusive interviews.